This is the Election Bureau. Welcome to the Situation Room. My name is Vivian Kai Loko. The 2024 general elections are over. The President-elect of the Republic of Ghana, Mr. Mahama, has been declared by the Electoral Commission yesterday. Today on the Situation Room, we are looking at the numbers. What were the numbers from the Greater Accra region all the way to the Northern region in terms of how the former president won the elections? We'll also look at that of Dr. Bawumia and, of course, do a comparison of the previous election. Interesting figures you will see. We'll be right back. So welcome back to the Situation Room. My name is Vivian Kai. Look, remember, this is the Election Bureau. You'd want to go to social media with the hashtag Ghana Polls 2024 to get the latest around all that you need to know on the 2024 elections. Now, you should know by now that there's some constituencies that are still being contested in terms of parliamentary elections. 9 of them were told. Yesterday, one of that, Okankwe Central, the declaration was made. Another was expected to be done today. They're yet to do. At a point, we will go to the regional headquarters of the EC to see the latest around that. And when we have time, we'll go across the country where there's still pockets of violence over persons purported to be supporters of the NDC, trying to take over key institutions of government. So we'll look at that as well. But we'll start today's discussion with the figures as the numbers for the 2024 elections represented by the Electoral Commission. I have 2 gentlemen to help me do this. The first is Sami Uyafe, here with us at City 97.3 FM as well as Channel 1 TV. Sami, welcome.
Hi Vivian, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And later, Umar Sanda Amadou, also with Channel 1 TV as well as City 97.3 FM, will join us for more details on these figures. Sami, welcome again.
Thank you very much, Vivian.
Right. So finally, the elections are over. The numbers have come out. We know in terms of percentage what the President-elect, Mr. Mahama, as well as Dr. Bawumia polled for the figures. But before we go into the figures proper, let's look at what we know, which is what the EC announced. The gap, well, is that something you expected in terms of the gap?
Not really. Not really. That wasn't the gap I was expecting. The polls before the election, local polls, international polls, had all projected Mr. Mahama to win this particular election, but with the exception of the Global Info Analytics powered by Mr. Donko, who said, Mahama was going to get around 52%. None of these international, organizations like Fish Solutions, the Economic Intelligence Unit, and others had predicted, the gap and the percentage, with the exception of the Global Info Analytics. So for us to wake up, yesterday for the Electoral Commissioner or the chairperson of the commission to announce these figures, it tells you how Ghanaians voted and how Ghanaians, wanted to take the MPP out of government and bring in the government of John Dramani Mahama and the NDC with the hope and the ambition that they may turn things around for good in this country. So for me, the gap was really surprising. Was surprising for me. I didn't think that we're going to see a gap like this compared to 2016 when Nana Akufo-Addo recorded over, I think, 1 million gap against John Dramani Mahama of the NDC. The expectation was that it was going to be lesser or you still maintain the same 1 million gap. But then for it to go beyond 1 million and traveling almost to 1.5 million, it tells you that, Ghanaians are really angry and they just wanted to see the back of the MPP administration. So for me, the gap really surprising for me.
Okay. There were also,
and I think this will be the MPP's, worst ever electoral defeat since 1996. When 96, a lot of people don't consider 96 as a proper democracy. Yeah. So when we talk about proper democracy, maybe around the year 2000. So when you compare the figures from 2000 till now, I think this is the MPP's heaviest ever defeat and the biggest, within the political scene. And I'm sure the MPP have taken lessons from these figures, and I'm sure they will do their homework while looking into the next election.
Right, now, there were some key battlefields in terms of the regions, right? Also, we saw some interesting figures in these regions as well. Which of the battlefields figures really hit you hard?
Well, before the election, you had assigned me to do the regions we may consider to be battlefields in this election. We had considered the Ashanti region, the northern region, the central and the western region. And then we had considered the Volta region as well as the key battlefields we had picked to be on the lookout for as far as this election was concerned. We chose the Ashanti region because there were a lot of talks about the Ashanti region, how the two political parties were aiming to increase their votes in that particular region. Because the voter register made us understand that the Ashanti region was more or less the next populated region after the Greater Accra region in terms of the numbers. And so the two political parties were looking forward to increase their numbers compared to the last election, which was 2020. They were hoping to increase their numbers in the Ashanti region. The NDC has set a target for itself of getting close to 35% of the total vote cast in the Ashanti region. The NPP was aiming to do 85%. The expectation and the hope for these two political parties was that if the Ashanti region turn up in its numbers as they are projecting, the election can go anybody's way. If the MPP had gotten, the 85% that they wanted, they may win the election. The NDC had projected the 35% that they wanted, the election would have gone their way. And so they were really looking forward to see how the Ashanti region will turn up and see who were they going to vote for. In the northern region, which was one of the regions we also tipped as a battleground, we thought the two candidates were coming from the north. Yeah. And so if anything at all, there was going to be a split of votes in that particular region. On the back of what happened in the last election of 2020 and the parliamentary seats in the northern region splitting, by 9-9, the battleground there was tipped to be one that was going to be keenly contested in the northern region. We also look at the central region because we realized that the central region was a fair weather friend. The party the central region supported automatically assumes the next reign of power. And so the central region was also a very key region in this whole exercise. And then the western region as well. The western region also, like the central region, were all fair weather friends. They tilt towards the political party that emerges victorious in the last election. And when we look at the numbers, that were released by the Electoral Commission, it goes to understand why we took these regions as the battlegrounds. And then we picked the Volta region as well because the MPP was hoping to get more than 100,000. I heard the regional, I think, secretary or chairman who was saying that they're expecting to get close to 500,000 votes in the Volta region. And the NDC, being the party that holds the region, they laughed over that particular call and said that, oh well, we shall see about that. And so for us, these were the 5 regions we considered, to be the battlegrounds for the 2024 election. And when the results were released by the Electoral Commission, it didn't turn out to be a battleground after all. Yeah. With the exception of the Ashanti region, none of the regions that we picked up was really going to be a battleground for any of the political parties, Vivian.
Right, so in a bit we'll go to our dashboard and really crunch the numbers. But before we do that, let me take the regions you mentioned, 5 of them you mentioned. 5 of them. Greater Accra, Ashanti, Western,
Volta, Central.
And then Central, right?
Yes.
Greater Accra region, the numbers that came in ultimately, was it really something you were expecting?
No, I wasn't. Okay, I'll say no, yes and no. I'll give you the reason for the yes and no. Before the election, the MPP had, done a number of research within the Greater Accra region, and they had said to themselves that they were not doing well in the Greater Accra region. I'd had conversations with, the top brass of the party, including the regional executives, who had told me that, the research they have done in the Greater Accra region wasn't looking good for them, and so they will do their best to see how they can overturn the Greater Accra region to their favor. Because in the last election, Mr. Mahama won the Greater Accra region, but he didn't win the presidential election. The Greater Accra region was also one of the regions where if you win, you automatically win the presidency.
Yeah.
But the 2020 election made us realize that this particular myth wasn't true after all, and that a party can win Greater Accra but will not be able to win the national election compared to the other regions. And so the MPP in the Greater Accra region was already going to the 2024 election with its back on the ground, because they knew that in 2020 the party didn't go, the region didn't go their way as they expected. So Divine Agohotu, who was the Greater Accra regional chairman, really had a Herculean task in ensuring that this verdict is over 10 in the 2024 election. I had the opportunity to engage him and acted that, are they sure that they can win the region? And he said that they were going to do their best, even though series of research from the National Security, the Global Info Analytics, they didn't put the MPP well in the Greater Accra region. And so when the result came, as declared by the Electoral Commission, it wasn't surprising to the party, because they knew that, from the back of 2024, it wasn't that good. 2020 wasn't that good for them. Because if you look at Greater Accra region, the NDC and John Mahama made 1 million votes, 260,832. And the MPP made only 681,535. Now you compare these same figures, Vivian, these same figures to the Greater Accra region in terms of the 2020 election. You realize that Nana Akufo-Addo had 1,253,179. John Mahama did 1,329,489 votes. Now, if you compare the NDC's votes in 2020 and 2024, now 2020 Greater Accra region, John Mahama did 1,336,000. In 2024, the same John Mahama did 1,260,000, just a marginal increase of about 100,000. Compared to the MPP, in 2020, led by Nana Akufo-Addo, the MPP did 1,253,179, and Dr. Bawumia did 681,535. A huge reduction, more than a half of the votes in the Greater Accra region, did not show up for the MPP. And Vivian, it goes to confirm, what a lot of people have said, that the MPP did not turn out to vote in this election. I've had the opportunity to see a report, or more or less like a post by one of the directors within the elections and research units of the MPP as far as these figures are concerned, the general figures. And according to his explanation, in 2020, the MPP total votes was 6,730,587 votes. MPP votes in 2024, I'm talking about the general, 4,657,304 votes. Difference of over 2 million. In 2020, now they go to the camp of the NDC. In 2020, he says that NDC votes across board was 6,213,182. 2024, NDC, 6,328,379. Just a difference of 115,000.
Yeah.
And this afternoon, Dr. Bawumia confirmed these figures.
Yeah.
And when he met, constituents
so because
from
of about 2 million people,
the 2 million people didn't turn up to vote.
The win really is about 100K.
Yes.
For Mr. Mahama.
Yes.
Now, since you have thrown out the figures, I think it's time to go to the dashboard to really do the proper comparisons and all that.
Of the figures from these regions.
Yes, so I think you can start generally if you
want. Let's do the general one.
Yes, with what the figures are.
The general one.
Yeah, we'll zoom. So nationally, what do we have?
So nationally, we're going to the election with 18,774,159 registered voters in the 2024 election. After December 7th, according to the Electoral Commission, 10,063,188 people did votes. They showed up to vote. But out of those who showed up to vote, the EC counted valid votes And according to the Electoral Commission, 9,842,477 valid votes were counted in the election. Rejected ballots, according to the Electoral Commission, 202,597 rejected ballots. The constituency, the entire constituency we know is 176. But then, per the results collated by the Electoral Commission so far, and what we've done here, that we are looking at a total of 229 constituencies whose results have been tabulated so far. The EC, even yesterday, announced that there were some constituencies that were on hold, and then those results were being challenged. And then when you look at the figures as released by the Electoral Commission, Dr. Bawumia did 42.05% compared to John Mahama, who did 56.27%. Now we look at the voter difference. In 2024, MPP under Dr. Mahama Bawumia did 4,139,127, representing 42.05%. John Mahama 2024, and these figures are according to the 229 constituencies.
Because I was just going to say, from what the lady announced, the commissioner announced,
yes,
we have Bawumia at 41.61%, and then Mahama at 56.55%.
Sure.
So it's important.
It's important
give
we
us
state,
the reason why. This is
So we look at the vote margin or the difference. We are looking at per the 229 constituencies.
Okay.
The margin is 1,399,620, which is the difference, representing 14.22% out of the total registered voters. And this declared the NDC and John Dramani Mahama as winners of the 2024 election. So when you look at the general Ghana map,
okay,
the blue represents the MPP and the region the MPP won. And then the green represents the NDC. And it tells you the number of regions the NDC won. So if you look at this map, the MPP only won in Northeast region, Ashanti region, and Eastern region.
Yeah.
These were the two regions the MPP won.
So 3 out of 16.
3 out of 16.
Okay.
And then that means the NDC won 13 regions. 13 regions across the country. And the MPP only doing 3 regions, as the Electoral Commission, made us understand. Now, even since we are now doing the regions, let's look at the breakdown of the regions.
Okay. Before you go to the regions, I want us to bring in our correspondents as well, because we are doing a regional analysis of everything that happened. I want us to go to the Western region, which seriously turned green for this 2024 elections. And if our correspondent is on there, he will join us in a bit. So whilst I'm pulling him to join us, so
then I bring the Western region figures out, since we are going to do the Western region.
So let's start with the Western.
So let's start with the Western region. The Western region.
Western region had some surprises.
A lot. Not some, a lot. There are some constituencies. Let's break it down to constituencies. There are some constituencies which has always been blue.
Yeah.
But this time around, we saw it becoming green.
Yeah.
And these are constituencies that have always been the stronghold of the MPP.
Yeah, traditionally blue.
It has never changed.
Yeah.
It has never changed. But in this year's election, we saw a drastic change in these constituencies. To be exact with the secondary constituency.
Okay. Let's bring in our Western Regional Correspondent, Enim Akwesi Eche. If you can hear and see me, welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you, Vivian.
All right. Good to hear your voice. We're zooming into the regions, and your region is the first we're looking at. A surprising turn of events, especially with areas that are predominantly known to be the blue areas, turning into green this time around. Let's start with the figures first. The gap we saw in terms of the figures for the presidential as well as the parliamentary. I mean, you made some key predictions prior to this election. I remember during Situation Room when we're doing the Western region, you kept saying that there's certain constituencies that will go to the Greens, and even getting to the latter part, you insisted that some that were traditionally blue may flip to the green. So you saw this coming. Your initial thoughts on the outcome of what you predicted?
Well, Vivian, I would say the flip, or should I say, the loss of the MPP in the Western region is, way surprising. As much as some of us expected that there's going to be some flip from the blue to the green, we didn't imagine it to be this massive. We were looking about 5 seats, flipping to the NDC, but what we're seeing is overwhelming. And I'm talking about, Western region, the NDC, proud to this election, only had just 8 seats out of the 17 seats, with the MPP having 9 constituencies to its self. And after the election, we have a whooping 7 of their seats out of the 9 coming to the NDC, giving the NDC a total share of 15 seats out of the 17 seats here in the Western region. And I must say, it's unbelievable. Yes, places like Sekendi, Esikado Kitan, and then even Kwesimintim, which for years, have been the stronghold for the MPP. This time around, we're all anticipating that it could flip, and truly, they actually flipped. And looking at even the margin of, the flip is a bit surprising. And so, on the whole, I would say the NDC didn't just win the presidential vote here with a margin of, with a vote of 423,245 as against MPP's 275,231 votes. But they also went ahead to take 7 out of their 9 seats to add to their existing, 8 seats without having to lose a single seat to the MPP. And that tells you how strong the NDC has been in this election. Now, if you take, for instance, a place like Pristia Honi Valley, we know that the MPP made a strong case that in the last election, Barbara Jesse actually lost the seat to Wisdom Kujo because of the fight against Galamsey. And so, since this time around, the fight against Galamsey had actually gone down a bit, the anticipation was that the MPP was going to be able to take back its seat. Yes, they fielded Barbara Jesse again to go against the same Wisdom Kujo. But at the end of the day, Wisdom Kujo carried the day. One of the biggest stories that we also had, or should I say the flips that we had over here in the Western region, happens to be the Takwa Inswayim municipality, which also happens to be a seat that the NDC has never won. And Mrekuduka, who is the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, has been on the seat for the past, 2 consecutive terms, going for his 3rd term. And with his deputy ministerial appointment and the work and how visible he has been on the ground, the expectation was that Duka was actually going to maintain this seat. But Duka has actually been booted off, and we have a new person representing Mr. Isa Salifu, representing the NDC on that seat for the first time. And so, on the whole, we have 4 ministers who actually lost their seat here in the Western region. We are talking about Sekendi, Andrew Japamesa losing the seat. He's still the Minister for Tourism, Art and Culture. He was very confident that he was going to maintain the seats. I interviewed him on the day of proud to hear voting, and he was very confident. At the end of the day, he's gone. Again, if you go to Mpoho was something that for me was 50-50. It wasn't so sure for me that the MPP was going to lose. And surprisingly, he lost it to one Gilbert, a very young man. And the incumbent MP who has lost his seat by the name John Abansani was the Deputy Minister for Energy. And Western region happens to be the hub of the oil and gas industry, and having a Deputy Minister representing the Energy Ministry, that is a very strong position that you were expecting that he was going to be able to cement it and use it to maintain, retain his seats. He was a first-timer, but at the end of the day, he couldn't maintain the seat. So John Abansani has been booted out from the Impoho seat, and he's been replaced by one Gilbert from the NDC. And then the next deputy minister who was also booted from this very region, we are talking of Kwesimintim. Kwesimintim had a first-timer NPP MP called Dr. Prince Hamid Amma. He was very much sure he was going to win the seat. He decided to put a blackout on the media, not granting interviews to the media. All attempt that all advance that was made against him. He said he wasn't talking to media this time around, and very much confident he was going to maintain the seat. But unfortunately for him, he had his predecessor MP, the NPP MP who was there and was booted out. I mean, he came to actually take him out of the seat during the primaries. Joe Mensah this time around decided to go independent, and he was in the race together with NDC's lawyer Philip Bokman. And at the end of the day, when the votes were counted, Philip Bokman carried the day. And so that deputy minister from Works and Housing, Dr. Prince Hamid Amma, has also been sent home. And we have a new man on the seat, an MP-elect in the person of lawyer Fifi Bokman. When it comes to the existing seat that the 8 seat that the NDC had already, you can talk of, Elembele, where we had the deputy minority leader in parliament. Honorable Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa maintaining his seat. He is going to the parliament for the 5th time. And he actually went into this competition with a known contender from the MPP, the DCE for Elembele, Mr. Kwesi Bonzo. He had already contested him 3 times, and this was their third contest. He again beat him on the 4th term, and at the end of the day, Mr. Honorable Amakofi-Boa is going back to the parliament for the 5th time. Now, one interesting place that you don't want to forget about is the Esikado Ketan constituency, a very huge constituency in terms of the influence that seat crearies in our political space. We are talking about Joe Gate's Esikado Ketan. This is a seat that from its creation has been in the hands of the MPP held by Joe Gate. The only time that Joe Gate left was this last election, where he left the seat for Charles Bisiu, formerly presidential staffer and secretary to the Interministerial Committee against illegal mining. And so Charles Bisiu came into this contest against NDC's Professor Dr. Dankwa, that's Grace Dankwa. Professor Dankwa actually contested Joe Gate in the last election, and he was able to shrink Joe Gate's, over 10,000 vote margin in the 2016 election to just 2,000. And so he had already created some kind of presence that she had what it takes to actually win the seat. And so with Joe Gate off the scene, going against a first-timer like Charles Bisi wasn't a difficulty for Professor Dr. Grace Dankwa, who managed to actually win the seat for the NDC for the first time. So this has been, the trend. Again, in a place, the Hunter West district, the Hunter West municipality, Hunter West constituency has also been some kind of a flip constituency, but the MPP has had the best of time on that seat, and it was being occupied by the immediate past chief minister for chieftaincy. In fact, he actually stepped down before we even went into this election. He didn't actually contest because of his health situation. That is Honorable Jokum, who was the chieftaincy minister and had to step aside because of ill health. And so a new person was actually put there, and one Mr. Pobi, and he couldn't actually deal with the NDC's candidate called Kukwa Bisiu. Kukwa Bisiu, I'm told, is a cousin to Charles Bisiu, who came to contest in Esikado Ketan. And at the end of the day, Kukwa Bisiu managed to carry the day on behalf of the NDC. So as we speak, the MPP has only 2 seats out of the 17 seats here in the Western region, and the 2 seats are the Takoradi constituency and the Efia constituency. The Takoradi constituency is being held by the Western Regional Minister, Honorable Kwabena Ochidako Mensah, who is also going to the parliament for the 5th time. He actually came into this contest with a vote margin from 2020 of around 13,000. At the end of the day, his 13,000 vote margin was shrunk to just 896 votes, not even 1,000 votes, from 13,000 to 896 votes. And that tells you how the NDC really wanted to sweep all the seats here in the Western region. I must say, it was very hectic here at the Collation Center in the Takoradi constituency, because the NDC supporters felt they had won the seat, looking at the numbers that came in. And so throughout the day, I mean, the close of polls, the whole constituency polling center was flooded by NDC people who said they weren't going to leave until the results is declared for them. Even on the Sunday, the whole place was flooded, and the police had to come in to actually keep them off the place. And so that seat, in the minds of the NDC supporters, it was not wholly won by the MP, but what is being certified is that the MP for Takoradi won the seat with a margin of 896 votes. And then the other seat that the NPP won, which is the Efia constituency, by one lawyer, Isaac Boama, a new person who booted out the minister, the incumbent MP then, Joseph Kujo, who is also a minister of states at I think the enterprises, states enterprises. He won the seat, and currently the NDC candidate Majid Dokurugu is contesting the seat. Yesterday, they are also saying that the seat was actually stolen. I mean, and so they went burning ties at the FIA EC office, and it took the police to actually come there before they were able to actually, take them away from the place. And so even the 2 seats, the NDC still doesn't feel were truly won by the MP. And that tells you how, how serious the NDC performed here in the Western region.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so they believe the 2 leftists should have claimed that as well. But let's look at the figures. What we saw in the Western region, are you going to attribute it to apathy or their backgrounds to the various constituencies leading to the loss? Is it the general 1, apathy, 2, people are fed up with the MPP, they want them out, or there are other stories leading to the severe losses we saw in a region where blue is usually dominant?
Well, I would say 2 issues. There's an element of the apathy. I must say, in some of the places, and let me cite one particular typical polling station result that I got, where a total expected voter, registered voters at this very polling station was around 309. When the NDC candidate actually won with just 105 out of the 309 expected votes, the total cast vote from the 309 was just 185. The NDC candidate got 105, and the MPP got just 75. And if you do the deductions, the number of people who didn't turn up at that polling station was 124, which was even more than the votes. The vote that the NDC candidate won at that polling station. They won with just 105. Meanwhile, the turnout, the absentees were 124. And this, I can say, was, manifested itself across most of the polling stations, and even they collected our constituency results. And so there was an element of apathy where people felt what they were expecting the MPP to do is not what they came to do. And so, and because maybe they didn't believe in the NDC, they didn't find it necessary to even come to the, I mean, to the polling station to actually cast their vote. I must also say that there's also an element of a general disappointment here in the Western region when it comes to the performance of the NDC, because when it comes to performance of the Bawumia Akufo-Addo government over here, because in the Western region, there is always that argument that this is a resource hub, and I'm talking about the extractive sector and the petroleum sector. Beyond that, we even have a very thriving timber industry and cocoa industry. And they feel this region deserves the best. It's a call they've been making all this while. And with the promises that were actually made to them in terms of creating, I mean, the one district, one factory, which, according to them, they didn't say it. I mean, some of the one district, one factory project that the government said they've actually carried out here in the Western region is an expansion of Ghana Rubber Estate Limited's plant, which is a company that some of us were born to meet. And they don't see these things as genuine one district, one factory that they wanted to see in the region. Again, Twyford Ceramics is a factory that was 80% completed before the government took over. And so they kept asking, what are the 1D, 1F projects? They didn't see them. Again, in terms of general infrastructure, it's an issue. Roads infrastructure over here is seriously very challenged, and people spend a lot of money on maintenance. And these are things that they were expecting that within the 8 years reign of the Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia's government, they were going to see some kind of facelifting when it comes to roads. Frankly, the government finally managed to do some of the roads, and I'm talking about the Apimenim, which is in the Hunter West to Takwa road, which was one of the most challenging roads. The government managed to do it, but I must say it's not even been commissioned, although, I mean, some finishing touches has been done, and it's still, I mean, usable. If you come to Takoradi, we're seeing some facelifting of our roads between Takoradi and Sekondi, but these are all projects that are coming in very late, and people felt it already suffered. The two flagship projects that were within the metropolis, that is the Takoradi Market Circle, which was, I mean, brought down for redevelopment, has been abandoned. In fact, the place is looking very weedy, and the markets, people are all over the place across the city. The city really looks a bit unkept. If you go to the flagship Takoradi interchange, the 3-tier Sano Hydro project, which was so much talked about, countless times did the government say, especially the regional minister, gave several times of completion, and none of these things actually came to pass. Let me tell you, on the day that the president came to commission a statue that is said to have been built by the chiefs for him, at that thank you, I mean, event, the president did mention that the interchange and the market circle project were going to be completed before he leaves office. Have they been completed? No. They are all standing there idle with nothing happening there. And so these are things that people over here haven't been happy and they've been talking about. So I'll say yes, there was an element of apathy, but a lot of it was because of the lack of, I mean, infrastructure facelifting that people wanted to actually see here in the Western region that never happened.
Enim, hold on for me. We'll crunch the numbers quickly, and then we'll let you assess that based on what is really on the ground proper. I'm bringing in Sami Wiafi. He's going to crunch the numbers for us. Sami, you were giving us an idea of the general feel, after which let's zoom to the Western region. Okay,
so as Kwesi was talking about the Western region, when you look at the figures as released by the Electoral Commission for the 2024 election, you know, the MPP managed to get only 275,231 votes, representing some 38.33%. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC had 423,245, representing 58.94%. Compare the same figures or the same region to 2020. Nana Akufo-Addo, 439,724, representing 50.93%. 2020, John Dramani Mahama, 394,453, 549, representing 46.16%. So you look at the difference, Vivian, we are looking at 148,014 votes, representing 20.61%. The number of people who registered in the region to vote in the 2024 election, 1,289,154. Total vote cast, 735,727. So look at the people who registered in the region and the number of people who voted. Vivian, there's a total reduction of almost 500,000 votes.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the total valid vote cast, we are looking at 718,067 total vote cast, which are, valid votes the Electoral Commission considered to be votes. Rejected ballot, 17,657. The constituency, 17 out of 17. So when you look at the general picture, the NDC won heavily in the Western region. John Dramani Mahama representing 58.94%. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 38.33%.
All right. We'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll bring in another person who will crunch the figures as well, Omar Sanda Amadou. Then we'll quickly wrap up with a name on what the figure means in the region. Is the Situation Room? Stay with us.
Situation all-white Christmas party in the It's Christmas Eve for the extra usual. Epic day celebration like none other. The Situation all-white Christmas party is taking over the city with music, magic, and memories waiting to be made. Think cozy vibes, electric beats, and the perfect blend of festive cheer and wild energy all in one space. Date 24th December 2024. Venue Beyond the Bridge, East Legon. Time 8 p.m. Dress code, it's an all-white affair. Come and dance like nobody's watching. Sip, mingle, make merry, and unwrap the ultimate Christmas Eve experience. Dress to impress, bring your holiday spirit, and let's make the Situation all-white Christmas party unforgettable. Call 0205-973-973 for table reservations and get ready to party. It's going to be lit beyond the bridge. The Situation all-white Christmas Party 2024 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 City FM and proudly sponsored by Carlsberg Beer, Kiss Drinks, Series, Bell Ice, Verve du Vernet, Bushmills Irish Whiskey, and Blue Jeans Energy Drink.
Wake up to a rich breakfast full of variety.
Blend your scrumptious wache with an energetic news review.
Right, eat your buffalo alongside uplifting and informative lifestyle conversations.
It's me, Chris Carter. Spend your mornings with me.
Or you can enjoy your mornings with me, Jifa KD Akuto.
And have breakfast with me, David Kwekusechi, right here on Breakfast Daily every Monday to Friday from 7:25 a.m. to 10 a.m. on your favorite channel, Channel 1 TV.
It's a Situation Room. My name is Vivian Kai Local. This is your Election Bureau. We're looking at the numbers following the 2024 general elections. The Electoral Commission has declared President Mahama, former, as the president that will lead the country for the next 4 years. Now, very, very interesting figures coming in terms of where the president won and the amount of wins he had in those regions. We've started looking at the Western region. We'll quickly wrap up on that, and then we'll go to the Greater Accra region, Ashanti region, and other key regions as we crunch the numbers around the elections. Enim Eje is our Western regional correspondent. He's joined us via Zoom. I also have Samaria Faye, who is on the dashboard. And joining us now is Umaru Sanda Amadou, who also joined Samaria Faye on the dashboard as we look at the figures. Mr. Umaru Sanda Amadou, welcome.
Why am I suspicious of your use of Mr. in referring to my name?
Yeah, Mr.
Now, if I respond now, then you say something.
Which will be what?
No, I don't know, but I'm suspicious.
Are you not a Mr.?
Are you not a Mr.?
I don't want to be
Why are you suspicious of the world?
It's a Tuesday, don't call me Mr.
What should I call you?
Tomorrow you can call me Mr. Today
I
don't
won't call you Mr. tomorrow. I want to call you today. If you don't like, go to court.
Okay.
So Sanda, welcome. We're looking at the Western region. We've done a quick general about the Western region.
I'm looking at the map. The numbers are scary.
Very, very scary. Very scary. I was asking Sami his initial comments of the numbers in general, and he was saying, of course, he was expecting a flip and all that, but not the amount we've seen, which is magnitude. Pretty huge.
It's an annihilation. In Parliament, it's an annihilation. Nationally, 2 million, 1.7 close to 2 million. That's big, and it's almost like the whole map of Ghana has become green. Yeah. Except Ashanti and
only
Eastern.
3 regions.
Yes, and even Northeast. Northeast is not really green in the sense of the word, and I'm sure we'll get to Northeast and we'll look at it because parliamentary has been split. Take 3, I take 3. I mean, Ashanti region. The numbers John Mahama polled, 700,000 in Ashanti region, is a big deal.
It's huge.
Eastern region. So we'll be doing the analysis and looking at more of the numbers.
Yeah. So is the name still on the line? And if you're still, hello. Okay, whilst we are establishing contact with him, so we wrap up on the Western region, then we'll go to...
So basically, Vivian, the win margin between John Dramani Mahama and Dr. Mahama Dubomia in the Western region, 1,671,009. The difference in percentage-wise, 14.93%. A wide gap between. No, I'm talking about national. Sorry, this is national. So we go back to the Western region. The win gap, 148,014 difference, representing 20.61%. The win gap between John Mahama and Dr. Mahama Dubomia in the Western region. The figures as given by the Electoral Commission, we're expecting a total of 1,289,000 people and 154 registered voters in the Western region. After the Electoral Commission, allowed them to vote, a total vote cast 735,721, valid vote cast 718,067, rejected ballot 17,657. Out of 1717. So this is the general outlook in the Western region as far as the 2024 December election is concerned. John Mahama won it emphatically. When it comes to percentage-wise, 58.94% for John Mahama, Dr. Mahama Dubomia, 38.33% in the Western region.
So I'm looking at the comparison of 2024 and 2020.
Yes.
In 2020, where we saw then Nanado winning that region by 50.93%. 4 years later, the person
it dropped almost by half.
Yes,
38.33%.
A shocker there, isn't it?
Vivian, and I'm just looking at the number by which Nana Akufo-Addo won in 2020 is 439,000.
Yeah.
It's actually less than the number of people who didn't show up to vote. And that talks about the apathy thing too. Yes. So 1.2 million registered voters for Western region. You have total votes cast being 730,000. So 500,000 people did not show up to vote.
And it's across the country. So and this afternoon when Dr. Bawumia met, some party supporters, he made mention about the general, voter apathy across the country, where he gave down some figures. And he says that in 2020 and 2024, you compare, NDC maintained its 6 million votes. But when you compare it to the MPP dropped by over 2 million votes. And I'm very sure that the over 500,000 you mentioned here is part of the 2 million vote Dr. Bawumia is talking about.
But look at the NDC, its gains there. You know, I think, was it on Sunday or so, Bernard was taking us to the gains of the NDC. You know, they either inched up slightly or maintained, you know, and we're seeing that. In 2020, former President Mahama polled 398,549, which came up to 46.16%. 2024, he moves up to 423,245, coming up to 58.94%.
Imagine that increase, like, I think less than 100,000.
Yes.
Less than 100,000,
yes.
So but that's 12% win. That's also a big one.
You know.
So to be able to overturn Akufo-Addo's win and go by that margin is really huge. I think something has happened in the Western region, and just looking at the map on face value, is green overall, and parliamentary is 15/17. And Kwesi has been explaining that to you, Vivian. And the MPP executive in the region who spoke to Richard Sky 2 days ago said that their region has become a construction site, so no work is happening. I was in Accra for the manifesto launch of the MPP. And where the statue was placed, the Akufo-Addo statue, I used that road. It's a very dusty road.
It is.
They
were not even. And it's more. It's even, I think, a runabout.
Yes, a runabout, and all the roads leading to the runabout are very dusty. Nothing was happening, but they were driving all these cars, moving around. It was very dusty. They were not even watering the road. I think that they should have seen it at that time, that things were not looking good. The fact that you are pretending to be working. There was a politician who once said, if you pretend to be working, we'll also pretend to be paying you. So if you pretended to be developing the Western region when you, in fact and indeed, you were not doing it, this is what happens. Eggs will come in your face. And it is really, really embarrassing. The Sekondi Takoradi metropolitan area has never gone green before. Since Papa Usman Nkrumah's time, it has always been MPP. Jogate has held it for Esikado Ketan. Esikado Ketan has fallen to the NDC. Sekondi has fallen. Takoradi is the only place that they were lucky and that's because the regional minister is in the region. Now, similar thing happened in Central Region. In 2016, when the NDC suffered annihilation in Central Region, NDC lost all the regions except 3. One of the 3 were the ones held by the Central Regional Minister at the time, Ricket Kwekwehegan. So that's what I'm saying. If you are a regional minister, maybe you are saved. But this is not nice.
That's not good.
Do we know the number of registered voters for 2020? To see if you
no, so the registered voter we have for this year 120.
For this year is 1.2 million.
But the number wasn't that high. I don't think the increase has been that much.
No,
because nationally is 1 million extra votes.
Yes, that was added.
So if you just give them their own portion, I'm not sure it would have been any significant. Even if you decide to compare the voter turnout for 2020. 430,000 plus 390,000. So you can say easily it was around 1 million votes in 2020, and now they have 1.2 million votes.
Okay, let me wrap up with Enimije, our Western Regional Correspondent. You've heard the numbers, what we're seeing, pretty, huge gaps, pretty significant gaps we're seeing. Your final thoughts on the figures and what is going on in the Western region following the election and the sweep to the green, before you take leave of us?
Well, Vivian, I'll say, I mean, for the numbers, even with 2020, we saw some signs of the NDC actually rising up in the region. I would say the president won the 2020 presidential slot because of the free SHS. But in terms of parliamentary, don't forget, the NDC went into the 2020 election with just 4 seats. And that is from 2016, they were only left with 4 seats. And then in 2020, they doubled it to 8.
Okay.
And so in terms of parliamentary growth, parliamentary seat growth, the NDC has been appreciating from 4 in 2016 to 8 in 2020. And then now they've moved it to 15. So there was that sign of, a rise in terms of the parliamentary slot. I would say in 2020 the president was able to win simply because of the free SHS. And the Mahama is now also promising some kind of free component of education at the first year level of tertiary. And so maybe that is why they've compensated him with this win. But for me, generally I would say that this whole loss by the MPP is largely because of the underdevelopment the region has seen over the years. Okay. They had a huge expectation to see some kind of facelifting in infrastructure development, but that didn't happen. The major projects that they were hoping to see a final completion, the roads around the metropolis, the Sino Hydro projects, the market circle construction have all been left uncompleted despite all the promises. For now, I would say it's all jubilation across the metropolis. Every evening, there are, music and floats all over the town, and there's a lot of, entertainment going on. What we are waiting to see is whether the NDC candidate for Efia, that is Majid Dukrugu, will be going to court, because he's given an indication yesterday his supporters were at the EC office burning ties and demonstrating. And so we are waiting to see what will happen with the Efia seat. All
right. Mr. Name AJ, thank you so much for giving us some on-the-ground details from the Western region, where we see the flip to green from blue. Guys, let's go to the Ashanti region. Hafiz Sijani is also on the line. He also gave us some, stories behind the figures. So, Sami, if you're ready, give us an idea of the Ashanti region. We know that the NDC's John Mahama polled 697,076, and of course the NPP's Bawumia polled 1.3,066,800. But
going into this election, the two political parties, the NPP and NDC, were hoping to make gains in the Ashanti region. The two parties described the Ashanti region as a battleground. Yeah. Because the NPP was hoping, the NDC was hoping to do 35% of total vote cast in the Ashanti region. The NPP was hoping to increase its vote from the previous election of 72% to 85%. Remember when Dr. Matthew Poku Pembe, the running mate, was officially inaugurated, he said that his objective is to see an 85% turnout in the Ashanti region for the NPP. So the party was working towards it. Now the Electoral Commission declares the official result from the Ashanti region. Dr. Bawumia, MPP, 1,366,800, representing 64.90%. John Dramani Mahama, 697,076, representing 33.10%. Compared to 2020, Nana Akufo-Addo, 1,795,824, representing 72.79%. John Dramani Mahama, 653,149, representing 26.49. Now, if you compare 2024 and 2020, almost 500,000 gap, almost 500,000. When you look at John Mahama, he's still around the 600,000.
600, yeah.
Still around the 600,000 vote. But when you compare the MPP, 2024 they were doing 1.3, 2020 they were doing 1.7. So you see the reduction in the Ashanti region, and our correspondents tell us that the Ashantis didn't come out to vote in their numbers as it was expected. Now, when you look at the margin, the MPP won, the Ashanti region with just 669,724 difference, representing 31.80%. Now, let's look at the registered votes here. You remember that Ashanti region was second after the Greater Accra region. So Ashanti region total, voters 3,295,279. Total vote cast 2,135,973. Total valid votes 2,106,108. Rejected ballot 29,865. Number of constituencies, as the Electoral Commission has, 46 out of 47. The MPP wins this particular region But when we look at the voter turnout, it's not what the party was really expecting. A total, registered voters of 3 million and only 2.1 something turning up. This is what the party was hoping for. The party was hoping to get, a majority turnout of 85%. NDC was also hoping to do 35%, turnout. And the more reason why a lot of people felt that the Ashanti region, betrayed the MPP. The Ashanti region did not, come out to vote for the MPP as they expected, Vivian.
So the target for the NPP was, is it 70 or 80%?
85%.
85%. And the NDC was targeting
35%.
So 35, they're almost at the 35, at 33%.
Yes.
They have done over 30%, which is significant.
Yes.
In the past, when NDC got 27, 28%, they were cruising.
Their highest bet was 2012, which was 28%.
Now, so usually when they get that, they are cruising to victory. To go as way as 31%, that is a big deal. And you see, if there were 3 million people for the Ashanti region and only 2 million came out to vote, but out of those 2 million, as many as 700,000 people decided to vote for the NDC, that is a big deal. And that's how come it's important when John Mahama said, "Semi Sundaya Obinyani" or something like that. It is.
Yeah.
The apathy may have been big, but even though in the midst of the apathy, those who showed up for the NDC. You look at the net gain of the NDC, and John Mahama moves from 650,000 to 700,000. That's 50,000. So John Mahama gains 50,000 extra. Dr. Bawumia loses 500,000. So for you to lose 500,000, even if Mahama gets just 50,000, that's a comfortable win for him in the region.
Let's
and even that, so now even look at the percentage wise. In 2020, Nana Akufo-Addo did 72. Dr. Bawumia is doing 64, so which is way down, and even not near the target they set for themselves. They were looking at 85%, and they are just doing 64%.
And Mahama gets 6% gain.
Yes.
Let's go to Hafiz Tijani. Remember during the campaign, when the NDC's flag bearer went there, we saw scores of people, and he made that statement that we're told that those people represented about 11 constituencies across the region. Now, the MPP guys told us that was a joke because they could pull one constituency of those numbers.
That's true.
So on the ground, it appears what the NDC said is what it is, and what the MPP said is not what it is. But let's let Hafiz clarify or confirm that for us. Hafiz Tijani, if you can see us or hear us, say hello to us and welcome.
Hello, Vivian.
Good to see you.
And my future president, Sami Wiafi. I'll be his chief of staff. And my in-law, my favorite in-law.
Good luck to you guys on that. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but good to see you. Now we're looking at the numbers from the Ashanti region. Clearly, the MPP didn't do well at all. Dr. Bawumia polling just 64.90%, and you have John Mahama going as high as 33.1% as compared to 2020, where he polled about 26%. Now, these figures, you covered the campaigns together with your team during the period where they were in the region, where we saw former president polling or attracting huge numbers from the region. From that point, did it occur to you that we will get to this point?
Well, for ND, they have always maintained that this is not their stronghold, but they always try to give themselves some percentage they can work with. Even if they are not able to achieve that percentage, then they will be nearing that percentage. But for the MPP, because this place is the Ashanti region, is their stronghold, they want to make an ambitious target of maybe getting 85 and even sweeping all the 47 constituencies. So usually the parties will also put in a lot of effort. So the NDC began this work after the 2020 election, when it realized that it is making some inroads in some constituencies and also in the region, where it's made some gains in the 2020 election, and projecting the 2024 election, and began to work towards achieving this target. The target of 35% came in while they were campaigning towards the 2024 general election, but they didn't mention that target of 35% before the campaign was heating up. So just as the campaign was heating up, they brought out or pronounced the targets they wanted to in terms of percentage, the 35%. But the MPP, hoping that this place, the Ashanti region, is their stronghold, were a bit of hopeful of getting any target they were putting on themselves. So both parties worked towards it, and this is the result we are seeing now.
Let's look at the winning party. How did they get it right? Is it the apathy we're seeing? Is it that the Ashanti guys refuse to turn up is what it is? Or is it the issues, infrastructure, development, you know, or the message from the NDC work? Because I remember one of our team members visited the region and said the Akoko and Kitenkite thing was something people were laughing about in the region. But it may have worked, including the 24-hour economy, no?
Well, so you go to a lot of areas, you speak to people, they talk to you about the free senior high school policy. That is an outstanding policy, an exceptional policy. They will talk about the free senior high school policy. And like you said, they rubbish the policies of the National Democratic Congress. But the trick for the NDC is that they focus their attention on the settler community. So if you look at some of the areas they have won the parliamentary seats from the NPP, these are areas you find people who are coming from parts of the north, parts of the Volta and Oti regions to settle and work there. So these are farming communities where you have people working on cocoa farms, others working in farms in these areas, and working in some of the mining communities. So the NDC's approach is to get some of these migrants who have come to settle in these constituencies, not targeting peri-urban areas or urban areas like the Bantama, the Kwadalsos, the Subins, and also the Forikroms. So even within these areas, we have the migrants who are settling in these areas. But because these areas are predominantly constituencies that have, over the years, voted for the New Patriotic Party, you don't have the impact in terms of getting the campaign going down to these people, because the numbers are more than these people who are settling there. But you go to other areas like the Ahafo-Ano Southeast constituency, for instance, you have most of the communities, the settlers are there, so they are able to target them easily than even comparing it to Bantama. So you have people, the approach for the NDC that really worked for them is targeting these people. So that's why they are able to get some of these seats from the outskirts constituencies, and you don't find them maybe getting or closing the gap between 2020 and 2024 in areas like Bantama, Kwadalso. They are not able to close the gap, and though there's been an improvement in terms of vote margins, but you don't see them making some inroads like they have made in the outskirts constituencies, where you have a number of the settlers who are migrating or who have migrated from the north to this place and parts of the Volta region and other areas.
So you're saying the trick for the NDC was to target the migrants, Volta region, northern region, and all that. Does that also explain why we've seen an increase in the number of constituencies they've been able to add to their usual 4?
Exactly. So you look at an area like Adansia Krofrom, people from these places I mentioned settled there. You look at an area like Adansia Square, Katie Amon's constituency, where they have had the seat or they have taken the seat from the MPP. You have people from these areas settling there. You look at the Ahafo-Ano Southeast constituency, is the same thing. Even with the 4 now, Central Plains, that is Agogo, is predominantly farming community. You have the settlers there. You look at the Aswansi constituency, though in the middle of the Kumasi metropolis or the greater Kumasi area, which is surrounded by predominantly stronghold of the MPP, about 6 constituencies, putting Aswansi in the middle, which is the NDC stronghold. You have people who are from the north, and these are northern dominated communities or Muslim dominated communities. You go to the Ejura Sechidumasi area, you find the same thing. You go to New Edibiase, you find the same thing. So the approach has been used by the NDC to capture these 4 seats, work on them to maintain them, and look for other ones to add. And they made mention of this when we spoke to the secretary of the NDC in the region. He says that they were going to snatch some constituencies to add up to the already 4 they have. But he didn't want to mention, or he never mentioned this or that constituency we're working on. They had that strategy hidden, and they said they were going to win some constituencies, but never mentioned these constituencies. But if you look at these constituencies and the dynamics that are playing out, the NDC is going with this approach.
Okay, I'll move to the NPP side, what led to their loss. But with the migrants thing, I'm curious, have the numbers increased, or did they succeed in getting them to now switch from maybe voting for the MPP every now and then to now vote for the NDC?
Well, so the numbers have increased. That is why you have the NDC winning most of the seats, or some of the seats in the 3 constituencies that have been cleared and declared for the NDC. And you have the numbers increasing from 2020 to 2024. You have the NDC appreciating and the MPP decreasing or depreciating in terms of votes. So you look at the Adansa Square constituency, in the 2020 election, the difference was just 954 votes for the vote between the NDC and the MPP. That's for this election. The difference is just 954 difference in terms of votes. And you compare the votes in 2020, the NDC had a little, the margin was not so wide, but the MPP beat them in that constituency. But now you are seeing that the NDC is increasing in terms of the voter margin, and MPP is rather decreasing. So the areas where the NDC is doing well in 2024, it didn't do well back then in 2020, but now the MPP is rather going down, and the MPP is rather going down, and the NDC is increasing in terms of votes. The areas where you have the migrants, did we see a lot of vote transfers, and did we see a lot of people turning 18 for the increase in those numbers? Okay, so there are 2 things. So we have new voters, and we have people also transferring their votes to these areas. So you recall we carried a story at Edujama where there were some confusion between the NDC and the MPP about how the NDC was bringing in some people from other areas to register. So that created some confusion between the NDC and the MPP, because the NDC says that people who were living there or who are coming there for the first time to settle and work were transferring their votes from wherever they were coming from. But the MPP were saying that these are people who are not even Ghanaians. These were the claims they were making, that they were not Ghanaians, they were bringing in foreigners to register, and that didn't go well between both parties. And the NDC also says that these are people who are migrating from other communities to settle in these communities. And Edujama is Ahafo Ano Southeast constituency, And that is an area, one of the areas the NDC has won the parliamentary seats to add up to its already 4 constituencies it has in the Ashanti region.
Okay, I'll bring you, please stay with me. I'll come back to you on that. So we look at what the MPP got wrong. But I just want to engage Sami and then Sanda on their thoughts on what Hafiz is saying with regards to how the NDC was able to improve its fortunes in the region.
Well, I heard the chairman of the NDC campaign, Professor Joshua Alabi, speak last night when John Dramani Mahama was, giving his acceptance speech. And what he said was that the NDC engaged in what he called retail campaigning.
What's that?
So this is the explanation he gave. So he said they looked at the figures within the Ashanti region and look at the constituencies with higher turnout and higher number of voters. And so they segmented them and considered these regions or these constituencies as MPP strong, but then they must do everything to cut them into pieces, according to his words. And they also look at constituencies with settler communities, where they were going to target these settler communities as part of their campaigning. So for him, it was on two folds. First of all, to cut down where the MPP had large number of votes or large constituencies, and also to concentrate more on settler communities. So we realized what Hafiz was saying, that the NDC gained more in these settler communities because the NDC concentrated much of its campaign in these settler communities, per what Professor Joshua Alabi said, and the result is what we are seeing it. For them, they would have even wished that they would have gotten more votes, more votes from the Ashanti region. And according to what he said, even though they were targeting 35%, they realized that they would have gotten more. They would have gotten more if, their campaign was more intense and really, really intense before the election. But they were okay with the number of figures they had. And they were also okay that Ashanti region didn't really show up for the MPP as they were expected. For them, they are glad that Ashanti region didn't really show up for the MPP as they expected. And this is the outcome that we are seeing.
Okay, Sanda, your thoughts on the NDC's game?
So, prior to the election, Bernard and I have been talking about the behavior of Ashanti region. And the periphery constituencies, so the constituencies around this area of the map, generally, which borders the eastern and parts of the Brong-Ahafo region, they have generally been turning from deep blue to light blue. Apart from Asawasi, which is in the heart of the region, these constituencies here have been behaving in an interesting way. The Afram Plains constituencies, so Edrase, Chedumasi, and all those places. So I'm actually not surprised that things have gone the way they have gone. We did a show here, Bernard and I, where we realized that when it comes to number of people who were interested in voting, voter apathy, more people in the deep blue part of the region, i.e. the middle part of the region, were saying that they do not want to vote. However, the people on the periphery, in areas that NDC generally get their vote from, they said they were happy to vote. And this was a survey that was done by the National Commission for Civic Education.
And these were the constituencies Professor Alabi said they were targeted because they were the settler communities or the settler constituencies.
So the incursions that the NDC has made in the Ashanti region is a big deal worth celebrating for the party. For you to have been targeting 20%,
85,
and to have no, I'm talking about NDC.
NDC, okay,
and to have gone to 31%, or is it 31% for the region? That is significant. It means that you have divided the region into 3, and you have taken 1/3. Now, for NDC to take 1/3 of the stronghold of the NPP means a lot. Flip it and see whether NPP was able to take 1/3 of Volta region. And I think it's important we look at Volta region.
So let's quickly do that. Then we
so let's quickly do Volta region.
So Volta region is here, and we're going to put it together with OT region.
Okay.
Look at the win margin of of John Mahama in
90%.
90%. This is Rawlings, above Rawlings levels. So, just said, my stronghold, I have taken everything.
And they showed up for him.
And I've given you less than 10% in my home region. But in your home region, we've divided Yachem 3, 2 for you.
These are not Chimpepe.
No, it's like Ebusa and Ebunu. So take 3, take 2, I take 1. This is how Volta region behaved. A proper stronghold. Ashanti region is failing to be the World Bank of the NPP, at least not in this election. It has become maybe a small rural bank, and that is not good. When we say rural World Bank, this is a World Bank.
Typical one.
But hang on, see the registered number of voters in the vote.
It's a million and 23,000. You know, and the turnout was 650,000. Okay, so these are total vote, but let's look at the valid vote, 648,000.
Yes, so still 650,000 people voted.
Yes. So roughly doing their figures, maybe 400,000 didn't show up.
But you see, the number of voters in Volta region has always not been big, because everything from Volta region, the total number of people who voted, is less than how many votes Mahama made in Ashanti region.
Yes.
So that's something to consider.
Yes.
If you want to do something, you can add OT region.
Let's see.
Let's see how OT region behaved. Now, OT region used to be part of Volta.
Yeah.
Let's see how OT region behaved. 66. So this is a typical Ashanti behavior. OT region is not the region that NDC would boast of readily. OT region has lots of non-Evers in it.
And Akan-speaking areas as well.
So you have the Nchumurus, you have a lot of these people up there. Even though you have Evers along the Volta in Dambai and places, there are a lot of Krachi people and Nchumuru people in OT region.
In Kwanta, KJB, Rara, Abotiase.
So if you look at the behavior of OT region, this is a reflection of what has happened in Ashanti region. So MPP manages 31%, and it's a big deal for them. But the Volta region, which is the World Bank of the NDC, has remained green. Despite all of this, what's the population of OT? 410,000 people. Only half of that voted. And out of the half, you win 30%. It's nothing. You haven't really done much. So the numbers are not that significant. So the incursions, if you put the two together, then that's when you would see the behavior properly. The incursions of the NDC or John Mahama in Ashanti has been huge, and the performance of Dr. Bawumia,
and as you say, is bigly.
It is bigly as Donald Trump. That's Donald Trump's word. So let's look at, I don't know if you have a different plan for Eastern region, but I wanted us to say
I want you to look at Eastern region when we look at what went wrong for the NPP, because that's supposed to be their stronghold, and they tick that box there. So if you're done with the NDC and the figures, I would let Hafiz take us to what went wrong for the NPP.
I mean, back to the Ashanti region.
Yes, back to Ashanti region. So, Alhaji, are you still on with us? Hello? Okay, so whilst we are trying to get Alhaji, I think you can quickly take us through the Eastern region. When it comes on, then we see.
The Eastern region turn up.
I'm told it's on. Hafiz, what went wrong for the NPP in the Ashanti region from what you have garnered? Okay, we have to re-establish his audio. So this is the Eastern region, right?
Yes, this is Eastern region.
So let's do Eastern region.
Why is Eastern region important? Eastern region is important for a number of reasons. This election is a verdict or a referendum on Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He's from Eastern region. He's from Chebi, and his region and Ashanti region in 2008 almost gave Nana Akufo-Addo the presidency.
I don't know, been time.
So you want to see how the Eastern region people behaved. Dr. Bawumia is not from the Eastern region, but his boss and political godfather, if there's anything like that, is from the Eastern region. So if Ashanti people did not show up to vote for Bawumia, how did Eastern region people behave? And it is almost neck and neck. 47% versus 51%. They've divided into halves. First of all, 1.8 million people. That's how many the region has. 1 million came out to vote, 980,000. So that's 1 million. And they have decided to do Chempe. 453,000, which is nearly 500,000 versus 493,000. None of them even managed to get 500,000. This is not good. This is not good.
And look at the comparison in 2020.
Yes.
So Mahama,
that's what I'm looking at.
So Mahama has climbed up from 470. Actually, has
reduced.
Mahama has reduced from
in 2020 he was doing 470,000.
Now
in 2024 he's doing 453,000.
So Mahama lost 20,000 votes. But that hasn't meant anything to Dr.
But he was still running around the 400,000 area.
Nana Akufo-Addo 752,000.
Jesus Christ.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia lost 300,000.
Almost a half of it.
So, look, this is not a good picture for Dr. Bawumia. Not in Eastern region. The place where you really want the votes to come from.
Okay.
The difference
Hafiz,
is just 40,000.
hold with your thoughts. I'll come to that. Hafiz, can you hear us? Welcome back.
Yes.
What,
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
What led to the death sort of the MPP in the region?
So voter apathy.
Okay.
Yeah. So you go to some constituencies like Subin, Accra, Oforikrom, Bantama, and Kwadaso, and you realize on voting day, some of the polling centers you are recording low numbers, very low numbers. So you compare some of these numbers to when the district level election was was held. So you couldn't even give the difference between a general election and the district level election when you go to some of these areas because of the low numbers. So as early as 7 a.m., you could see that most of the polling stations in 2020 and 2016, you saw that there were huge turnout at these areas. You were not seeing those numbers at those areas. So I met one of the communicators of the National Democratic Congress at one of the polling centers in the Subin constituency, and she says that she has been voting at that particular, the Calvary Methodist polling center, for a very long time, since 2008. And at that polling center, usually they record huge numbers. So from morning to the afternoon to the evening, after 5 p.m. in 2020, she says that there were long queues at the polling center. But even at midday, you are not finding, or in the morning, you are not finding people in the queues. And she says that if something like this is happening, then it's a plus for the NDC. If there's always voter apathy in the Ashanti region, especially in major constituencies of the MPP, it means there's a signal that NDC was going to make some inroads or was going to win the election. And that is what you find when you go to other areas like Kwadaso, I mentioned, Bantama, Asukwa, and Oforikrom. These are stronghold constituencies of the MPP and the Kwabri East District. And you know, issues about roads also came so hard in somewhere in the middle of the year, where people held demonstrations, though the government had to rush in to fix some of the roads. Some of them are still under construction, and then others have been abandoned. And these are some of the issues that really affected the MPP in the region the most.
Now, two things. One, on Bawumia's ethnicity and the fact that you say that the NDC concentrated on areas where a lot of migrants were, and realizing that that may not have even had an impact on people who perhaps came from even his home region. That's one. And then secondly, he was in the region for a pretty long time. Actually, he's 15 days. And to think that, yes. To think that maybe that didn't even help in his fortunes. And then actually, thirdly, we had a running mate from the region who we're told was supposed to help show up the numbers. Let's start from...
He had even given a target of 85%.
Exactly. So let's start from the running mate. His target or his help didn't play any role in this?
Well, he made a target himself of 85% when he was unveiled in Kumasi. But there was a campaign. So NAPO was concentrating on this retail campaign thing. So meeting the interest groups, meeting the labor unions, meeting other professional groups to at least focus on his campaign. But other constituency and regional executives were also targeting the more of the informal sector, people in the informal sector like the traders, the artisans, and other people. But the campaign for many going into the big rallies, for many, they thought that people were just being buzzed and brought to the campaigns just to show up the numbers.
The case, I mean, you are on the ground. Was that the case?
Well, in some constituencies, we have buses bringing in people at the rally grounds or some of the campaign areas where they were organizing big events for the campaigns in the constituencies. But others were saying that the message should be going down to the people, not bringing people to mass up at rallies, sing, dance, listen to the speakers and move away. And some were even saying that the campaign should have been done more of engaging the people. But Dr. Bawumia, when he was in the Ashanti region, did that. He met people one-on-one, meet and greet campaign, try to sell his messages to them. But NAPO was more of meeting the interest groups, the professional bodies, and people who were targeted, like people who were in associations. Unlike the campaign going to the market to do the campaign, you're not seeing that in NAPO.
Well, what about the background or ethnicity of Dr. Bawumia and, you know, trying to also tap into the migrant groups? That didn't also make any impact?
So exactly, when Dr. Bawumia visited the Ejura constituency, he says that the constituency has been voting for the NDC. So this time around, they should try and shift their focus from the NDC to the MPP. And you know, Ejura is a predominantly Muslim community and people from the north settling in that constituency. But that message didn't go down with the people because you still didn't find the NPP or see the MPP making some greater inroads in that constituency, although they were able to gain some votes, but the target was to get the seat and also appreciate more the votes of Dr. Bawumia in that constituency. So that ethnicity did not really play out. So a place like Asmase, they would vote for the NDC no matter who you are bringing to represent the MPP. They would always go for the umbrella symbol and ignore the elephant symbol.
Chairman Woon, to me, very one of the most popular chairmen or regional chairman the party has, even, you know, nationally, if you compare to that of the NDC. Do you remember the NDC's regional chairman for
in
Ashanti region?
I think his name is it Dr.
You think you actually have to think.
Is it Dr. Mankwa or something?
Yeah, but one to me, it's, you know, well known nationally, well known in the region and all that. And prior to the election proper, he was also going around campaigning, campaigning and all that. I mean, this is the first time actually the party is suffering this poor showing, and this is under his tenureship.
Yes, exactly, and people are blaming him for centralizing his campaign.
What did he do wrong to get to this point? What did he do wrong to get
blaming
to this point?
him? Yeah. Well, people are blaming him for centralizing the campaign within his fold, ignoring some of the executives. So somewhere in April, May, there were some kind of confrontation between even the youth organizer, the organizer, and other regional executives of the MPP rising against Wontumi for centralizing the campaign, not involving them in any of the campaigns. But later, the party has to or had to bring them all together to trash some of these issues out. But that issue also played out, and the 2020 primaries, which had Wontumi assume power as the regional chairman to retain his seat, also brought some division within the party. We have contests. The people who contested, the supporters of those people who contested Wontumi were not happy about some of the happenings in the party, and a whole lot. And Wontumi also focused his campaign to, though he also organized his personal campaign, but more of his campaign was to go with the flag bearer of the MPP wherever he was going to join in that campaign. So people are now blaming him for a whole lot of party the structuring of his campaign, the bringing on board some of the executives to join in the campaign, leaving them and centralizing the campaign and not giving them the way to also come in and join in the campaign.
Please don't leave us just yet. Let me bring in Maro and Sami on their thoughts on, you know, some of the things that may have led to the NPP's poor showing as monitored by Hafiz.
Vivian, the NPP's stronghold is Ashanti region.
Yeah.
In 8 years, what did they get? There's a Facebook post called Asantiman. It's a Facebook account called Asantiman something. 2 or 3 days to the election, they put up a post saying, International Airport, that's not what they want.
Okay.
They wanted something more than International Airport. Because if Ethiopian Airways has flown to Kumasi and so what? I saw a lot of NPP people attacking that account, saying there's an NDC admin who is running it and all of that. But that's the evidence we're seeing here. In 4 years when John Mahama was president, he gave them a lot of things, right? He gave them he started Asafo Interchange, is it? He did a market for them.
The market,
He started a KJTR.
Yes, KJTR market.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for, yes.
Yeah, phase 1, yeah.
He did, if for nothing at all, remember Ratray.
Yeah.
John Mahama gave them that.
What was the gentleman, the mayor at
Kojo
Bonsu. In 8 years, your own home region, MPP, your stronghold, what did you put there? That's the question that has to be asked. It's true that they are your base, they will support you all the time. But if you don't deliver for them, and NDC suffered that in the Volta region.
Yeah.
Volta region people, they don't deserve. There's a road from Ho, which connects to Aflao. That road is the worst road we have in Ghana. NDC has been power for 8 years. They didn't do anything about that road. And Volta people have seen it. And it's the reason that we saw the apathy in 2016 in the Volta region. That apathy has come to bite the NPP also in 2024 in Ashanti region. Because you cannot take your support of your base for granted.
Yeah.
The fact that, they like you, no.
Yeah, if you love somebody and you don't show your love, what kind of love is
so
that?
This is what they did. That I'll go to the voting booth and vote for MPP, I will not do it. To go and vote for the umbrella there,
it won't happen.
Never. So I'll sit it out. And they
Stay
sat it out, and this is what we are seeing.
Yeah.
I believe this is a big lesson that they should learn. That airports, NDC also sent an airport to Volta region. They still lost.
Yeah.
So airport, Sami, that's my view. I don't know what you think.
Well, exactly the point. They were generally not happy. Why were they not happy? They thought development wasn't going down as expected. They complained a lot about their roads. The more reason that the president brought Asenso, someone from the region, Bantama to be precise, to come and complete these roads projects in the Ashanti region. He did a few. He didn't complete. So there was anger in the system. Which other anger? The completion of the phase 2 of the KJT market. The market women had complained a number of times. I followed the president to Ashanti regional tour, and immediately he gets to KJT. What was the first thing they complained? Nana, the real market in Maya, and it was giving them hell because the market women thought that if this project was completed, it was going to, mitigate their plight, and that wasn't done. Thirdly, the blame is on the lifestyle of the regional chairman. Woon to me, they felt he was living a lavish lifestyle. Which they felt that we vote to get you to power, and then you come and live this way that you want to live. And what even killed them the most was when he declared his intention to buy Chelsea some time ago when Chelsea was up for sale. They were like, you want to buy Chelsea with our resources and everything. And the kind of opulence that he was displaying. He sits on his radio or TV station displaying pure gold and the rest. And this was, angering the people. And I have a lot of friends in the Ashanti region, and they told me, Asami, this kind of attitude that your guy is displaying, Charlie, we don't like it. And it was one of the reasons why they voted. This unity, as Hafiz said, he was running a one-man show in the Ashanti region. When it's time for campaign and campaign resources were not really, the allocation wasn't that well. He was just doing it to mother side, father side. But when it comes to campaign resources, Sandra, the most important person to send campaign resource is the police station executive, because that's where the people are. Before it translates to the regional, the electoral coordinators, constituency, before the region is the last people to get campaign resources.
Sami, talking about personalities in the region who have failed the party, Simon Osemens, Ashanti regional
minister.
Yesterday, I had breakfast with a journalist from Kumasi, senior journalist who's been doing a lot of work there. And
I was waiting for you. We're having breakfast.
Yeah, it was
executive breakfast.
It was just scramble. It was Sun
Lodge
Hotel gave me breakfast. When you left, Sun Lodge Hotel gave me breakfast.
How's that go?
So this journalist said to me that Simon Osei-Mensah's arrogance and his attitude and his posturing cost the NPP, the Ashanti region. You know him.
Yes.
I have had interviews with him on Eyewitness.
It never ends well.
We have never had an interview in which this man acts decently with me on the air.
It never ends well.
He's always abusive and he's always insulting. And he assumes this arrogant posturing. Now, if this is even me here, you can imagine what happens there. He had a fight. And in fact, funny enough, I met at this same breakfast table was an ECG union member who said to me that Simon Osei-Mensah's fight with their ECG boss. You remember that?
I remember.
I remember.
Over some issue that was not worth it.
I remember very well, Maru.
You are the regional security chairman, and you are there fighting over disconnection of power. The utility service providers are doing their work, and you are interfering. All of these things put together. So people were simply angry. And that is what I think has accounted to.
I've heard Dr. Bawumia say that there's not a time for blame game, but you can't build a party and move for it if you don't hold certain people responsible.
You need to find the root.
You need to find the root of it. You know, and I understand this week there's going to be a neck meeting where issues will be well addressed to look at what really happened in this year. But then for me, if you ask me, Ashanti region, these are the reasons why the party did not perform well, and the main character is Chamamu to me, and this is a gentleman who wants to be
the regional minister.
And this is a gentleman who wants
to be. And they had a fight. The regional minister and regional chairman had a fight over the choice of Napo versus
the education minister is Manya. So these are the fighters.
But Napo too. We were told that Napo was the master stroke.
Hold on, I'll come there. I'll come there. And who to me is the gentleman who wants to be the next national chairman of the NPP. That's his ambition. He feels that he's too big for the Ashanti region now. So when the party goes for his internal election, which is in 2026 or so, he may file to contest as national chairman of the NPP. And I'm wondering, really, national chairman, NPP. Well, we'll see how it goes. Napo was brought in to bring the numbers. Bring in the numbers.
From Mensah?
Bring in the numbers. Is that what we are seeing?
The numbers, no way.
Numbers, no way. So for me, I've heard Dr. Bawumia say that there's no need to blame people, but you can't take the blame out. I've seen a long post by Musa Superior, your good friend.
It's not my good friend, but is it a genuine post? Is it really from him?
I've seen it. Cataloging a number of things.
And Musa Superior, for purpose of information, is currently as the
deputy CEO of the Forest Commission. He made an attempt to become the general secretary of the NPP, has made several attempts to become the party's parliamentary candidate for either Tamale South or Tamale North.
Was he not a former mayor?
He was a former mayor of Tamale under the first Akufo-Addo administration.
Musa Superior.
Yes, under the first Akufo-Addo
I saw the post. I thought it was fake news.
Yes, and he cataloged a number of things he feels contributed to the NPP's defeat. He talks about the e-levy. He talks about the cathedral. He talks about the long stay of the finance minister, even though there were numerous calls on the president to do away with him. But his long stay contributed. I've heard a post from Eugene Boachi, the member of parliament for Subing, also cataloging a number of issues, and he mentioned the long stay of Ken Ofori-Atta as finance minister as one of the reasons why the NPP suffered its heaviest defeat in its political history.
When Justin Frimpong Kodia, the general secretary of the NPP, made the mistake of his life to ask Akufo-Addo to reshuffle his government,
they descended on him. The same call was made by the national organizer, Nanabi, and they descended on him. For Eugene Boachi, in his post, he said the NPP lost the election in 2020, in 2022. That's when the NPP lost the election. Because the long stay of Ken Ofori-Atta wasn't in the best interest of the party. But after all the advice from the president, he didn't listen to them. So for what this has happened, they should take it cool. Rebuild. As Mark Menu said, the party should just reassert itself and see what they can do in 2028.
All right, let's take a final thought from Hafiz on what maybe Bawumia should have done to change the fortunes. And we'll go across the country where we know of these pockets of incidents of alleged supporters of NDC taking over key government institutions. We'll take you around and see some of the disturbing ones we are recording right now. Hafiz, could Bawumia have done anything to salvage this poor performance?
Well, the people were angry already. You talk of the roads, you talk of the abandoned markets, you talk of the abandoned hospitals which were not being opened, and the NDC was capitalizing on these to do the campaign. So the NDC will tell you that they have come to build Aswasi market in the Ashanti region, the Kejetia market in the Ashanti region, the Tafo market in the Ashanti region, the Atonsu market in the Ashanti region, and they would want the MPP to also pinpoint the project they have started and completed in the Ashanti region. So the NDC was capitalizing on some of these things, and Bawumia couldn't have done anything to maybe a magic to let the projects come like the people wanted it. People were displaced. When it rains, you go to the racecourse market, traders were struggling to even sell amidst the muddy nature of the environment, and these traders were angry, and even the problem compounded when there was fire at the Kejetia market. And till date, the traders promised they were going to be giving some startups. Most of them, a number of them are out of business, and they have not taken care of a whole number of issues. So the issues were beyond Bawumia, and you come to the internal wrangling of the party, disgruntled supporters within the constituencies. They try to bring them together to at least support the party. Most of them were still adamant. Others agreed to come on board, but did not take part actively in the campaign like they did in 2016 and in the 2020 election.
Annie, thank you very much. Good job on the coverage of the election for you and your team. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We'll come to you subsequently. So that's Hafiz Tijani. Gentlemen, I want us to go across the country. Troubling incidents we are noticing with the switch of government, where people alleged to be supporters of the NDC are going around taking charge of institutions, stealing, destroying, etc., and all that. In a bit, I'll take you guys to Ghana Gas, where there have been gunshots reported over there.
They've gone there too.
Oh yes, and as we speak, the other passport office, the one around the Tema station, you know. So we're seeing a lot of this. This morning there was one at the Forestry Commission, as well as the Tema.
I saw the video of the port. I didn't know they've gone to Ghana Gas.
They've gone to Ghana Gas as well. So if our man there, Daniel Sakite, is ready and we can establish sound, I can see some videos from him already. Okay, so is he ready? Okay, Mr. Sakite, welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you very much.
Okay, whilst we are establishing, so these are the scenes I just saw a vehicle that the windscreens have been smashed already. I thought with this era of takeovers of public toilets, institutions, I was gone.
We can have someone in Ghana Gas.
Daniel, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, Vivian.
What can you report? How serious is this issue?
Okay, so Vivian, at present the situation is very calm here. We have a number of police officers and also soldiers who have been stationed at the junction to the Ghana Gas headquarters. But earlier on, it was a very tense situation here, as there was a heated confrontation between heavily built men who are suspected to be NDC supporters who marched to the Ghana Gas headquarters, ostensibly looking for the communications director for the Ghana Gas company. That's in the person of Owusu Bempa. For some of them, the conversation really, or the allegation against Owusu Bempa, is that since the NPP has been in government, he was launching insults or attacks on the opposition party, and found that there's been a change of government, or there's an incoming new administration, which is the NDP administration. They want to essentially vent their anger on him. So they came here in search of but I'm told that they met his absence. And so there was a very heated confrontation here between the police, soldiers, and the people who were suspected to be NDC supporters. For instance, when we got here, the situation was very calm. The police trying to calm the situation down to disperse the crowd. But then, just when we got here, we saw the soldiers moving, then they came demanding that the people move out of the entrance of the Ghana Gas headquarters, and that degenerated, and there was the firing of warning shots, and I had to seek refuge in a company behind the Ghana Gas company. So we have the police officer. I don't know if you can hear the noise around, but they are trying to maintain law and order here at Airport West, where the Ghana Gas headquarters is located.
Have members of the company be evacuated or made to leave the premises? And what about those who are, adjourning officers?
Right. So as the situation was unfolding, the company staff had to be inside, and so right now some of the people who were stuck inside the building are now moving to their various destinations because the situation has calmed down now and it's relatively safe for passage because we have about 15 soldiers and also police officers, now about 15 as well, ensuring that there is free flow of traffic and also protecting innocent lives using stretch. I have to add that the confrontation has led to the destruction of a vehicle here. It's a Honda Civic vehicle, and the back screen or the windscreen has been smashed, and the owner has been complaining that this rowdiness cannot be allowed to continue. So currently, we have the workers of both Ghana Gas and adjoining facilities. There's a school facility here, just also opposite the Ghana Gas building, and the workers are now living in groups.
Were you able to engage with the workers, and how are they feeling about this, troubling development?
Right, Vivian. So essentially, the gunshot has left many of the staff very panic-stricken, and even some of them are even contemplating not to return to work tomorrow because there's a concern that this incident that just happened may also happen tomorrow because this was very spontaneous. There was no prompting that from any of the NDC supporters that they were going to invade the gas premise, and so these are having concerns among the staff that this may repeat itself some other day. So there's a huge contemplation whether or not to return to work. And as I mentioned earlier, people who are even leaving the city, you could just get out of the place and just go to a much more safer environment compared to the tense situation that we witnessed here earlier on.
All right. Daniel Sakite, a man at the Ghana Gas company. Stay safe and come home in one piece. Thank you so much for that report. So, gentlemen, yesterday, Tema Port, Metro Mass, Tepa, Takwa, certain institutions over there. Today, we're seeing Forestry Commission, Ghana Gas, and the Passport Office, and others we are yet to know.
No, I've just seen on Facebook that the invasion is at NPA, the National Petroleum Authority.
As well.
A worker there is just putting up on Facebook that they are here at NPA, and someone is asking the person to flee, but the person is saying the whole place is locked up.
Wow.
So they cannot move out. And this passport office report that we are receiving is also at the Tema station. And I was saying that in the past, we used to see people go after toilet facilities. This time around, they appear to be looking at other, and it's not something we should be encouraging. No. Because when John Mahama spoke last night, he immediately spoke about a transition process and mentioned the transition team that will be meeting from tomorrow, Wednesday. Now that's at the national level, or at the presidential or governmental level. So there's going to be a smooth transition from one administration to another. I don't understand this issue of attacking installations. Someone in government called me today and said that yesterday people went to the airport and were plucking people out of the queue.
Yeah, I heard about it yesterday too.
If you're going to travel and
Yeah,
you're at the
they're
international
trying-
airport, Kotoka, so they'll pull you out if you are a member of the government, known one.
And they will ask you of your passport. When you look at your name and it's a name which is familiar, they will just pull you out of the check-in.
And
queue.
these people are who? I mean, I've even gone to a security.
So right now they are emboldened. I mean, they are, and I think criminals are taking advantage of this. Criminal elements are taking advantage of this. People who already have something against you, this is a time for them to come and vent it, and that is happening. I've seen posts about posts suggesting that some government people are moving their V8s to a part of the Eastern region to go and hide them, and all of this. It is really going to be chaotic, and I think this is a time that our police administration has to act fast. I know that because it's a change of government, things have been uncertain because you have an Inspector General of Police who by constitution is supposed to be appointed by the president. However, because he's appointed by the president who is an MPP person now, perhaps if you are taking any action, people would say, oh, you are acting against NPP people, and they may come after you, even the Inspector General of Police yourself. But I think our institutions should be non-partisan, or they should grow outside politics. If, despite every claim or belief that they are tainted, we have produced an election result in the manner that we have, I think we should just be patient enough. Constitutionally, and the framers of the law decide that our transition process should start after elections, and there should be a change of government 1 month after we voted, which is January 7, 2025. I think people should be patient. The former president last night in his address told the people that their anger is justified, but they should not do it the way they are doing it. They should go back and stop attacking. I thought that message was not loud enough. Maybe he needs to send another message, because even though Nana Akufo-Addo is the president of the land, John Dramani Mahama appears to now be the de facto leader because he has been given the mandate by the people. Nana Akufo-Addo is yet to hand over, but today what he is a lame duck. And so even if he gives orders, I don't know.
Even I disagree with that. He's still president.
But he hasn't acted. He hasn't acted.
I feel he should act.
Well, so
he's still the
he has
commander-in-chief
not.
of the Ghana
He has
Office.
not.
The vice president is still the chairman of the police council. They should send them out there to maintain law and order.
Yeah, so the police ought to move in and maintain law and order. And if there's need to send military personnel for backup purposes, I think the chief soldier in Ghana is the president. He should be doing that. John Mahama does not have control over the armed forces or the police or anybody.
Can just urge his supporters.
Yeah, can just tell them to step back. And talking about chaos at collation centers, I've seen a statement from the NDC withdrawing their people. So maybe at least that one we are getting. Let's see whether they will respond. Fifi Kwete, General Secretary of NDC, issues a statement and says, NDC members, your vigilance is appreciated. It's now time to withdraw from collation centers. I think this is a good call. It shouldn't have been made in the first place, but it has been made, and they said it was because they didn't believe Jean Mensa and the chairperson and the Electoral Commission to protect their ballots, so they have gone there to do that. I think we should act quickly before this thing becomes chaotic.
I feel President Akufo-Addo should act. He's still president of the republic. He's not handed over yet. He's got some few days to go till he hands over to John Mahama. He's still president. He should act. He should get the army on the ground. The vice president
he's not recovered from the defeat of
he wasn't on the ballot. 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 I feel the president should act. Mr. President, you are my friend. Please act. Please act.
Presidential
Please
friend.
act. It is getting out of hand. How many have we recorded so far?
Plenty.
Yes. And we want to.
He's still crying.
And we want us to wait till it gets to the Jubilee House. That's where he will
No, but they'll
act.
go there next. They'll go there next. But the way they are proceeding, the next place is Jubilee.
He will wait. He will wait for it to go to Jubilee before he can act.
I have spoken
As
to
of today, he's in the office.
I've spoken to at least two government officials who said that their homes, there was some sort of invasion. They said that they've heard that you've stolen money and keeping your house, so they are coming to collect.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
This is not right.
Mr. President, please act. I beg you. You are still the commander-in-chief. You are still the president of the republic. Get these people arrested.
Okay.
And we condemn this thing.
We have to leave it. Our time is up. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Morris Sanda Amadu, as well as Sami Weafi. We'll bring you more on these incidents on our major news bulletin at 8 p.m. on Channel 1 News, as well as on Eyewitness at 5:30 on Radio City 97.3 FM. If you go to our social media platforms or online, we have videos and pictures of the incidents. You want to go there and check them out, citynewsroom.com, as well as on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and what have you. My name is Vivian Kai, local. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll continue with the regional figures for the 2024 elections and other developments around the 2024 elections. Thank you. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
There it is. It's finally here. Old School Reunion Pub Chain on Saturday the 21st of December 2024 at the Gold Coast Restaurant, Cantonments, Accra. It's going to be